This is 1 Week Rental. It's our history video. We're going behind the scenes telling you the story of the making of Christopher Nolan's Interstellar from 2014. But this story starts all the way back in the 1980s when a movie producer got set up on a blind date with a theoretical physicist. It eventually led to the Robert Zemeckis movie Contact starring Jodie Foster and Matthew McConaughey, who ends up in Interstellar. Maybe that's a coincidence, maybe not. We tell you the story of how that happened, how Steven Spielberg signed on to direct this movie and then enlisted the help of Jonathan Nolan to write the screenplay. Then Spielberg dropped out of the project, and Jonathan just happened to have a very successful brother to come in and take the reins of the director. We tell you all about that. Then we tell you about the casting of Matthew McConaughey, where he was in his career in 2014 at the tail end of the McConaissance. We talk about how important it was for Christopher Nolan that they use real science in this movie as much as they can, stick to the real physics. We talk about how he developed this movie before even writing the script. He developed it with Hans Zimmer. Start with the music. It was the first time he had ever done that. And we talk about the reception and the legacy of Interstellar. Nolan seemed frustrated that so many people had nits to pick, all the plot holes, and his responses to all of that. This is part one of our two-part coverage of Interstellar. In part two, we discuss and review the movie itself. And if you're interested in seeing that, it's in the description link. Click the link in the description to watch part two of our coverage, our episode on Interstellar. And now, the history of Interstellar. We've said that Inception is his most autobiographical movie. I think Interstellar is actually the most autobiographical movie now that I compare them. Laci's shaking her head at me.
I think time collapses in his movies and you got to take it from different places. I think doing a space movie was probably the first thing he wanted to do. But just like with James Cameron, he had to wait for the technology and but he says when Jonah walked on the set and they're doing some kind of crazy fucking centrifuge thing with the actors, he walked in and he was like, how have we not done this already? And it's like it just felt like home, because these are the kinds of movies they would make, is space movies. So in that way, it's like this is what we want to do. Where the other thing, Inception, was this like obsession he had about dreaming and about what music does in dreams since he was a little boy. So it's like they were both these things that had been baking for like 2 decades.
Well, I guess when I say autobiographical, I mean like where he has these protagonists that are driven by the same things that drive him. And in McConaughey in this movie, he drinks a beer on the porch with his father-in-law and he's like, yeah, I'm going to space to technically save the human race, but really I'm going because I really want to and I feel like I was born for this.
Right. I cannot
and I have some quotes from Nolan saying kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
So, but the other thing we've said is that the only movie of Nolan's that didn't like originate with him, that he didn't build from the ground up, was Insomnia. But it's also kind of true with Interstellar, because this movie actually begins not with Christopher Nolan or even his brother Jonah, but with the producer Lynda Obst and her good friend, the theoretical physicist Kip Thorne.
Interesting.
These two had been set up on a blind date in the 1980s by the astronomer and science writer Carl Sagan.
I knew you were going to say Carl Sagan. It was that or Neil Tice deGrasse, whatever the fuck.
The modern worse Carl Sagan. Yes, the host of Cosmos, which for a long time Laci went to sleep every night watching Cosmos.
Very, very, because I could relearn it I'd watch it and I'd understand it, then it'd go. It's
just a vibe. It's just like yeah. I get it right this second. I won't a second from now, but it's in here right now. So Obst was a very successful Hollywood producer, collaborator of Nora Ephron's, producer of Sleepless in Seattle. And I have read her memoir, Sleepless in Hollywood, and it's a good chronicle of her watching Hollywood totally change, watching all the movies she made suddenly studios not being interested in making anymore. One of the movies she produced was like How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, starring Matthew McConaughey. She made lots of rom-coms. She made lots of star-driven movies, but now studios only care about IP-driven blockbusters. But it wasn't just rom-com. She was always very interested in sci-fi, going back to the 80s, where her friend Carl Sagan hooked her up with this guy Kip Thorne, his friend, this theoretical physicist, and his friend Kip Thorne told Carl Sagan, about wormholes, and this is what led Carl Sagan to write the novel Contact.
I didn't know that was by Carl Sagan.
Which then Lynda Obst spent a long time, more than 10 years, developing as a movie for the director George Miller of the Mad Max movies. And this was like her life's work.
Hard at that time. I mean, that's really early to try to get a truce. I can't remember how much actual space. You know what I'm doing? I might be mixing it with Gravity. Shit. Because maybe Contact doesn't spend any time in space.
Contact has an extended wormhole sequence, but yeah, no, it's mostly on Earth.
Fuck me.
And Contact, George Miller ultimately got fired from that movie by the studio, and she resented that because he just wouldn't work. But they demanded a certain budget and time frame, and so he got replaced with Robert Zemeckis.
That's a very different vibe.
Yeah, I like Contact. It's a frustrating movie, but it is definitely an antecedent of Interstellar.
I remember the ending being frustrating, and I don't remember why. It's just it leaves a flavor in your mouth. I have no memory of this movie except for the end was like, come on.
Can I say what the ending is?
Yeah.
Because
did she discover a statue of herself on a beach of monkeys?
What she discovers is that the aliens are her father.
No, so I'm kind of right.
Yeah. But it's they're not her father. They're the aliens taking the form of someone she'll understand.
Yes,
but it's one of these stories where it's like I got to go to space to learn about myself.
This is so fucking. I don't get why people don't like this. This is so fucking interesting. If you can't even perceive of what other dimensions would even possibly look like, then you got to think someone who has access to this technology, who wants to teach a third grader something, is going to take something they do understand and get it as baby enough as they can to help that person like ease into this bigger understanding. Interstellar makes all the sense in the world.
I guess.
Yes.
I like
You
Contact.
know what it makes me think of? Is it AI, artificial intelligence, where they are such an advanced species that they've been replaced by the AI they intentionally made to do certain things and okay. And like, don't they, for the human's sake, give him right? Like, Interstellar makes sense.
That's how 2001: A Space Odyssey ends as well.
Right. Let me give you what. I'm going to make your little habitat, put a stick in it.
I think for some people it's a little like, because 2001 exists, and the astronaut Dave Bowman goes on through this wormhole and then gets put in an alien zoo. But the point is like, he's not a character. Like he's not reliving his childhood trauma. He's supposed to represent humanity. And for some people it's like, I don't care about Matthew McConaughey missing his kids. I don't care about Jodie Foster missing her father.
Then you're not in it for the right reasons. That's what's so good about Nolan.
The right reasons. I mean, you could just be like, I want mind-bending sci-fi ideas.
I immediately felt stupid for having said that. There's no right reason to watch a movie. But if you just think a Nolan movie is going to be just sci-fi, then you haven't been paying attention to any of his movies. They are just as much a exploration of like, what makes humans do things? What makes them sad? What makes them longing? What makes them fight really hard? What's guilt? What's shame? Like, all of his movies are about that. It's not just straight up sci-fi.
Yeah, and I think that part of the mixed reception for Interstellar when it came out was kind of, we were expecting a certain thing. And it was sort of like, ooh, here comes Nolan's magnum opus. And instead it was like, not kind of what I was expecting. And then within a few years, everyone came around and said, oh, that rules. That's his best movie. It's his highest rated movie on Letterboxd.
Yeah.
It's like, it's usually right up there at the top of everybody's list.
You have to give it credit for really dabbling in the science, but then letting go of where he could let go of science when it just served the story. Like, our understanding of the universe is limited. And I think this movie might stretch it a little bit, but I think they leave it where we don't know. You know, like Matthew McConaughey just gets picked up by fucking rangers or whatever the hell at the end after being in the like thing. Leave it. We don't know. So in the movie,
there's still stuff I've seen this movie so many times. There's still stuff I couldn't. It's not like I couldn't. It's not that I don't understand. It's like, but how does he go from there to there? Just little logistics things.
And I think it doesn't. That's the like. I don't think Nolan's going to give you bullshit science reasons why it happened, because I think there's no understanding of how it could, but he needs the story to get there, because he spends so much of the movie giving you real science. That's how it feels. So like, don't muddy it with like, you know what happens after a wormhole. No one fucking knows.
Well, Contact was another movie where you could call it hard sci-fi because they're working with real scientists like Kip Thorne, and saying, as much as we can, we're going to stick to the real science and the real implications raised by theoretical physics and stuff.
I love that.
And Obst was very happy with how Contact turned out, but she still resented that George Miller was fired. It would be fascinating, a George Miller Contact. But also, who's in Contact? Who's the co-star of Contact?
McConaughey.
Yeah, Matthew McConaughey. That's crazy.
Why not get Jodie Foster in Interstellar, guys? Come on.
Jodie Foster would be a perfect Christopher Nolan hero.
Yes. Oh my God. What if he switched to just a lesbian? If he can write a man, he can maybe write a lesbian. Maybe.
Of course he could. No, he can absolutely have a female lead character. She's just going to behave exactly like all his male lead characters.
Or how about this? You have a very involved wife. Can she do some writing maybe? Like, can she help you femin up? Maybe he's got a butch wife.
So yeah, Contact comes out in 1997, but and Obst is so proud of it and wants to work with her friend Kip Thorne again. And they develop an idea. The wormhole is a big part of Contact. They want to explore that some more. And all these questions about what real physics says can happen. All this stuff about bending time and shit. Ooh, good subject for a movie. They approach Steven Spielberg at DreamWorks. And he says, I love it. I love that idea. I'll direct it.
Done nothing like it.
And but
not wormholes. True.
The thing is,
he hasn't left the Earth.
He's never made a movie in space.
He just says goodbye to the people leaving.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And when this gets announced, everybody's excited. Like, oh yeah, did you know Steven Spielberg's never actually made a movie in space?
God, I think you're either a space guy or you're a land guy. Like you're an Earth guy. I'm just George Lucas doing Earth stuff. Boring. I don't know.
You've never seen American Graffiti, my friend.
He didn't want to make that fucking movie.
Oh, yes, he did. He loves his vroom vroom cars racing on the streets.
But it's like the most half-assed, like, who remember this? Do up.
Okay, no,
and I haven't even seen it.
Yes, okay, obviously.
I just think some people have a better concept of the infinite. And Spielberg's all about the family nuclear story. So I can't really, it'd have to be a little family in a pod who, all right, I'm sorry, continue.
So Spielberg, I'm going to direct it. Can't wait. I'm going to hire a writer, Jonathan Nolan, to write the script.
Oh.
DreamWorks at the time. Jonah.
Yeah, okay.
DreamWorks at the time is partnered with Paramount. It is transitioning away from being a fully fledged studio on its own. So this is a project that is developing at Paramount. Now, in 2007, here the LA Times reports on this deal. Quote, at one point, Obst and Thorne were brainstorming about, as Obst put it, the most exotic events in the universe suddenly becoming accessible to humans, and crafted a potential cinematic scenario that hooked Spielberg enough to consider directing. Enter Jonathan Nolan, whose clever, brain-twisting creativity elevated Memento and The Prestige, both directed by his brother Chris, above their erstwhile genre material. Nolan's original short story, Memento Mori, was the basis for his brother's screenplay for Memento. According to Obst, Nolan took the Interstellar treatment's basic idea and added a time element that none of us had thought of. This is Jonathan Nolan saying this. A lot of the narrative will be suggested by some of these amazing ideas that Dr. Thorne has been working on, his accumulated knowledge of the wonders of the universe. I'm going to immerse myself as much as my feeble little mind can wrap itself around some of these concepts, and the narrative will emerge. End quote. Mm-hmm. So Jonathan Nolan writes his script sometime in the late aughts, but Spielberg has to leave the project because he moves his production deal from Paramount to Disney. So Interstellar stays at Paramount. And then Jonathan immediately says to Paramount, my brother would love to direct this. So
meanwhile, Jonah was doing a backroom deal to make sure that other thing went through. Their Spielberg would conflict out.
Yeah, I want
just kidding.
We should probably have done like a profile of Jonathan Nolan and what he's done aside from his.
Well, let's do that for the Patreon, because I think, and I'd like, when I see a character like Jesse, I can't help but think of the wayward Nolan, or like maybe that's why you don't ask about him. You don't ask about not Jesse, Tom. You don't ask about Tom at Thanksgiving because like
you don't ask about Matthew Nolan, the criminal. Right?
Like, well, because like maybe you don't want an update. Some siblings you get an update when something's really really bad, and when you're not hearing anything, you're like leave it.
Okay, there we go.
Don't tell me about Tom.
If you don't know, folks, Christopher,
Tom's right behind.
Christopher and Jonathan Nolan have an older brother named Matthew who is a con artist and was accused of like murdering a Costa Rican national or
had it coming.
Crazy stuff. They don't talk
like
about
in a boat, right?
Yeah.
Fucking don't go on the water with anyone.
So,
including Carnival Cruise Line. No, okay.
This is Christopher Nolan only made movies for Warner Brothers, so Warner Brothers has to agree to like loan him out to Paramount. They enter like a co-production deal with Paramount.
Some old school fucking starlet shit. Like, I guess you can have Rita Hayworth.
It's like because this production company has a contract with Warner Brothers, so they have to like make a deal if we're gonna
some rookie shit, Nolan.
Do some other stuff. So what they do is they do some IP trading, some intellectual property trading that is still has ramifications to this day. They agree to let Paramount produce a South Park movie and a Friday the 13th movie. South Park is produced by Warner Brothers, but it airs on, or it used to air on, Comedy Central with the Paramount network. Now, for years, there's been chicanery afoot as Paramount Plus has been producing these, what they're calling South Park movies, but they're actually just several episodes of the show strung together. Matt Parker, Trey Parker and Matt Stone ended up getting sued over this for sort of like double dealing. They were making South Park movies for Paramount Plus and regular episodes of the show for HBO Max. I don't remember how that resolved.
You sass Canadians.
Yeah, they're not Canadians, but
they're Canadian.
But now Paramount and Warner's are merging, so who knows what that even means.
Did I just go through a wormhole? Are we back to Interstellar?
Back to Interstellar, yes. The Dark Knight Rises ends and Christopher Nolan's getting that itch. Gotta do something. Sitting around with my thoughts too much on the sofa. Okay, Kip Thorne, that old scientist. Let me get on the phone with him.
How old is he? How old are we talking? I mean, he seems spry in the 80s, so he's only, in his 60s by then?
He would have been 76, 75, 76.
What I said, he looks like Walter White.
Nolan starts working with Kip Thorne, according to Wired magazine, and as always, our sources are cited in the episode description. Quote, over the course of a couple of months in early 2013, Thorne and Nolan delved into what the physicist calls the warped side of the universe. Curved space-time, holes in the fabric of reality, how gravity bends light. The story is now essentially all Chris and Jonas, Thorne says, but the spirit of it, the goal of having a movie in which science is embedded in the fabric from the beginning, and it's great science, that was preserved. End quote. So Interstellar falls into what you would call hard sci-fi. It's like it is grounded in rules that you could see like a relatively near future version of humanity being able to do. There's no faster than light speed travel. It takes
true. There's just hibernation or cryo
and whatever. There's I remember reading Kim Stanley Robinson's novel Aurora about a interstellar. What are they called? Like a generation ship. It's like it can't go faster than light. So the people aboard this giant ship are going. This is a voyage that's going to take like 700 years. So generations and generations of people will die and be born and everything. It's just about the life aboard that ship.
Right, which is a lot like the Murphy station.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't know how long we're going to need everybody in this giant ball, but we weren't just going to let you die on Earth.
It starts with the essential premise that, okay, we're here on Earth. There's no other planets nearby that we can live on. The closest star is 1,000 years away. All right, what do we do then? What can we do?
Start preparing our infants for centrifugal force.
But one thing you can do is a wormhole, which they discover. I don't know at which point they discovered is like a theoretical possibility.
Who is they?
Scientists.
Okay, we're not talking about Interstellar.
Right. The idea of wormholes is what got Kip Thorne and Carl Sagan excited in the 80s. That's why Contact was written.
It's something I didn't remember until rewatching the movie. I didn't realize a wormhole could be that's just stupid. I'm sure the movie's just taking liberties, but like the wormhole was placed.
The wormholes can only be placed. Wormholes are not naturally occurring.
Wait, then how do we know they exist? Or we don't?
Physics, the laws of physics imply that they do. I'm not smart enough to understand.
That's so interesting.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just, it's like everything we know about physics says this has to be possible.
Math is so interesting that way, man. The certainty of it. Got enough chalkboards in a row, you can just figure out some shit.
Yeah. And so Nolan's like, okay, wormholes are artificial and we can't make them. But someone could, and those someone who could be people in the future. Right.
And those people could be us. And that makes the most sense because who else would give a shit about Earthlings except for that they are us. I love that.
Yeah. It's also, I think it's a thing that keeps recurring. It's also sort of the sea people in the Odyssey. If you realize, the sea people are us. We are the sea people.
Right. When we
it's
cross,
a feedback loop.
Yeah. Well, and it's like an echo of maybe how it felt to Nolan to switch back and forth between Chicago and England. In that in that over here, maybe he sinks into his English accent a little bit more in England, and he is Christopher Nolan, but he's the England version, and then he goes to Chicago.
He's code switching.
And his parents told him when he was like, I don't know, 8 or 9, that he would need to pick what. No, they didn't tell him that. They told him what kind of citizenship he would eventually at 18 have to pick, America or England, and luckily he didn't have to. But no, what he realized as a kid is that he had to make a choice. Do I want to talk like my brother Jonathan and start to affect a American accent, or do I want to keep this slightly English accent I have and just let that? And so he said he made a conscious choice of like, you just do it.
Yeah, good. I mean, yeah, that is.
I stopped saying y'all. Same thing.
I stopped saying y'all for a long time and then brought it back.
Yeah, I say it now.
I like y'all now.
I know, Matt.
Well, okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Part of the presentation of Nolan is that he looks like this posh English guy. So yeah, if he came up to you with his blonde hair and he's well groomed, he's like, "How you doing, Christopher Nolan? Nice to meet you there." You're like, I don't know.
I don't know if I want to give you a lot of money, Christopher.
Christopher, because he is Christopher, wants to play with time dilation again, just like in Inception. And Kip Thorne says, all right, you want time dilation? You need a black hole. So we're 2 different kinds of space holes in this movie, a wormhole and a black hole. And we need to take very seriously, we're going to use the laws of physics to depict what these things would actually look like. Now, got to be about time, got to be about my other neurotic preoccupation, which is my family, my kids. And we've talked a lot about his kids. And again, probably irresponsible of us to diagnose him so much. But let's talk about his kids. All of his kids are grown now. There's 4 of them. They all worked in various capacities on the Odyssey. We got Flora, who is now 25 years old, their first child. She was the age of Murph when Nolan was rewriting Interstellar. She basically is Murph. We got Oliver and Rory, ages unknown, but they were born in between 2001 and 2008. And the youngest is Magnus, who was born in 2008, meaning he's 17 or 18 years old now. According to InStyle magazine, Nolan said about bringing all of his kids to work on the Odyssey, quote, "I'd sort of look behind a boat out at sea and see a guy in a wetsuit maneuvering the boat and realizing it was one of my sons." Things like that. The director said with a laugh, adding that his children weren't doing the glamorous jobs on set. End quote. In an interview with Emma Thomas about the production of Dunkirk, it said, this was in Vanity Fair, I believe. Quote, "Thomas runs their household as well as their film sets, something that is easier to balance," she said, "than it sounds. Sometimes people will say to me, 'Gosh, how do you do it? You have 4 kids and you make these big movies.' But the fact that I work with my children's father means I can bring my kids to work. I have a massive advantage. Many other working parents I know have much more structured jobs. When you're shooting, the hours are insane. However, we always know that it's finite. It's over. And then we come back to a rather more normal life."
That's how I feel about whenever it's time to gear up for a conference or when Max is in theater. It's all encompassing, but it does go away.
It's going to end.
Yeah, so chill.
I'm chill.
Quit being on my back about it.
In the Nolan Variations, that book we keep talking about, it says, quote, "Nolan was thinking very much of his daughter, Flora, 11, and the heartache involved when he goes off to make a film. The working title of Interstellar was Flora's Letter. I very much related to the dilemma of somebody who is having to go off and do this thing, leave his kids, whom he dearly wants to be with, but he really wants to go do this thing.
Yeah.
My job is something that I absolutely love. I consider myself unbelievably lucky to do it, but there is a lot of guilt involved in doing that. A lot of guilt. I have a daughter who's the same age as the character, and my brother's draft, it was a son. I turned it into a daughter because Flora was about that age when I was making it. As my kids were growing up, I had this desire to hang on to the past. You become quite melancholy about how fast it's going. All parents talk about it. All parents experience it. So Interstellar came from a very personal place."
And I never doubted that. But, he had to get there to do the story that way because he cannot make movies about things he hasn't experienced. So it's like, it makes sense that this is when he does it because this is when he could do it.
Yeah, yeah. How could I tell this story? My daughter's only 4.
I need to miss someone.
I will note that Timothée Chalamet signed on to do this movie under the impression that it was still the Jonathan draft where the son is the main kid.
Oh, wow.
And he didn't learn. I think he said something like he didn't learn until the movie was screened for him because he said a lot of his scenes got deleted.
Oh, fuck. How do you not know you're not the one?
So, yeah, I mean, we've already talked about kids. Kids experience time differently. You're an adult, a week is nothing. If you're a kid, that's a lot. A summer is... we're telling our son school starting in 4 days. He's like, what? I thought this was forever, man.
Right. I mean, and when you don't have any control over like how you spend your time during the day, or not the way you do when you're an adult, or just a lot to do when you're an adult, the summer seems like it's kind of endless. And so does the wait to Christmas. Like, I feel like Thanksgiving to Christmas used to just feel it was an eternity.
Yeah. And then what do we always say every time it's Christmas?
It's always
Christmas.
It's always
fucking Christmas. It's ridiculous. It's bullshit.
It's almost Christmas now.
I know. It's almost past Christmas now.
Ugh.
When you're off doing something, you're distracted and you kind of become a time traveler because it's like traveling into the future and now I'm meeting a different version of my kid, an older version of my kid, or things keep happening in the world and I'm distracted and not paying attention.
Yeah, big news events and stuff. Same thing happens when we're at a conference. Like a whole hurricane can happen at where I live, but I don't live there now.
Right. So they named the ship in the movie the Endurance, which was the same name of the ship that Ernest Shackelford, the famous explorer, took to Antarctica in 1914. And there's a very famous story about him leaving in 1914 just as World War I is breaking out. He's on his expedition for 2 years. When he finally gets reunited with the outside world, he says, hey, whatever happened with that war? And they're like, oh, fuck. The war's still going on. The world is basically ending. Everything is we live in hell right now. And he's like, oh my God.
I'm going to go back to Antarctica.
So that was like a weird form of time travel.
Yeah.
Or that John Mulaney bit about going to Catholic church for the first time in decades and being like, did you know they changed it?
And also with you, and your
the
spirit.
Lord be with you. And also, no, they don't say that anymore. Yeah. Something changed and you weren't there to notice it.
Like being in a coma.
Nolan says before he writes a script, he writes it down. He gets his typewriter out because of course he does. Oh, my typewriter.
Shut up.
And writes a couple of paragraphs about what he wants this movie to be. It's like a declaration of principles, or even if it's not that straightforward, it's just like, this is what we need to ultimately keep returning to. So that he says like, these are all such huge productions he doesn't want to find. He's drifted too far away from what he originally wanted to do. With Interstellar, he took the unusual step of giving this piece of paper to Hans Zimmer, his composer. This was before he'd even written a script. And he does not tell Zimmer what the movie's about or even that it's a space movie. From the Nolan Variations, he says, quote, I called Hans before I even knew I was going to do this project. And I told him, I'm going to bring you an envelope with a letter in it on a piece of paper. It's going to tell you the underlying fable at the heart of the film that we're going to make. It has a couple of lines from the film. It's the heart of the film. You get 1 day. Just write something and you have to give it to me at the end of the day. And that'll be the seed from which we can grow the score. We realized we spent so much time on the other films we'd done near the end of the process trying to penetrate the mechanisms we'd created and get back to the heart of the story. This time I thought, let's flip the process. Let's start with the score and then build out.
So interesting.
End quote. This is my favorite movie score. Hans Zimmer's Interstellar score, my favorite movie score of all time. So when Zimmer gets this assignment, he starts thinking back to a conversation that he and Nolan and Emma Thomas had all had
About Chariots of Fire.
About their kids, not Chariots of Fire. One of Nolan's favorite movies.
Well, that's the soundtrack that he listened to the most often in the dark when he was forced to go to bed at 9 or 10, and that his way of escaping and having his own personal interior life was to listen to scores of movies, that one being his favorite. And he fell asleep to it all the time. And that's where he kind of started to think about how music gets into your dreams. And he said when he started working with Hans Zimmer that he said this is the starting point, Chariots of Fire of the soundtracks I listen to. This is me, and so start from there with everything you do.
I need to watch Chariots of Fire again because I only saw it one time.
Just listen to it.
Well, I saw it one time in high school out of obligation because it won Best Picture, and I just remember being like, yeah, it's one of those boring British movies that no one actually likes, but they're like, it looks impressive.
It's subversive.
Subversive, you say?
It's more modern than you expect it to be.
I'm sure it's different now, but definitely as a kid and a teenager, especially if a movie's in theaters, you can listen to the soundtrack and it's like, oh, I'm seeing the movie again, and I don't have it available here in my home.
I'm not a soundtrack person, so it's I've always found that interesting about you. I get it, but like, I think soundtracks would make me too sad. I use music to make me happy.
Yeah, no, you got to try it.
I don't got to do shit. I don't got to do anything.
So they're thinking about this conversation they were having about their kids. Quote, Zimmer, whose son was then 15 years old, said, once your children are born, you can never look at yourself through your own eyes anymore. You always look at yourself through their eyes.
Yep.
End quote. So Nolan then works that line almost word for word into the movie. So Zimmer has now done the assignment. He's written a 4-minute piece of music, and Nolan drives to his house to hear him play it. Quote, he made the usual excuses a composer makes when he or she plays something to somebody for the first time, not looking at Nolan, just staring straight ahead. And then when he was finished, he turned around. He could tell Nolan was moved by it. I suppose I'd better make the movie now, said Nolan. Well, yes, but what is the movie? Asked Zimmer. And the filmmaker started describing this huge epic tale of space and philosophy and science and humanity. Chris, hang on. I've just written this highly personal thing, you know? Yes, but I now know where the heart of the movie is. End quote. Mm-hmm. So it all starts with the music. They doesn't say, and I couldn't find, did that piece of music make it to the movie?
Yes, of course it did. He's telling you right there. It was the thing they didn't stray from.
But is that like note for note in the movie, or is that just like a starting point and you could hear like a demo where you'd be like, I can see.
I'm nearly positive that it's the theme part, the part that you like the most, where it kicks in.
Cornfield chase?
Sure.
The other thing Nolan told him was, I want you to use a pipe organ in the score. And Zimmer's like, I've never done that. That's cheesy. And Nolan's like, yeah, but I lived near a Catholic church growing up and it's the sound of my boyhood. So this is him like also time traveling via his movies. How can I recreate my boyhood?
Well, and you don't expect pipe organ in a sci-fi movie. Mm-hmm. It earths. I want to say grounds everybody, but you're supposed to feel homesick the whole time. The whole movie's about being homesick and not wanting to miss too much. Pipe organ makes a lot of sense.
And everybody,
funeral music.
If you have Criterion Channel, there's a new movie called Blue Heron. Very different movie from what we're talking about, but I thought this is such an interesting companion to Christopher Nolan because it's this woman directing a movie and using this movie as sort of time travel to re-examine her own childhood and figure out how she didn't quite understand what was going on in her and her family's life. And Christopher Nolan seems to be doing the same things with his movies as time travel. One final note about the score is that when the movie came out, there was a lot of hubbub and hullabaloo about the sound mix. I think between The Dark Knight Rises, this movie, and then Dunkirk, the next movie, this was firmly the era of like, you can't understand a goddamn thing anybody says in these Nolan movies because the music is really, really high up in the Interstellar mix. And it was intentional.
Yes.
And to Nolan, I think with this and Dunkirk especially, it's like a silent movie. It's like,
yes,
you don't,
that's
what they're saying doesn't matter. But I think that with Interstellar, what Nolan doesn't understand is like, it seems like what they're saying matters a lot. And there's a lot of exposition and explanation.
It doesn't though, because time doesn't matter the way it matters anymore. So the individual things that we say and what we think we mean, they change. You're Dr. Mann who totally believes he's going to do the admirable thing. And then he gets to a planet and he's lonely and he becomes a different version of himself. So what does it matter what he said? And when you think of Christopher Nolan as a boy for years with a Walkman on his head, falling asleep to and like experiencing his only freedom of the day through complete darkness and only the sound, it makes a lot of sense why, like he says, this listening to the soundtracks would make you have to piece together visuals for it, and he liked that the building the images in his mind. He liked being forced to put it together based on the music rather than the images making the music mean something. I said that really.
No, I get it. It took me a while to embrace this movie until it eventually clicked for me. I think one of the things is like, they're emphasizing real science. They're saying real science stuff, but that's beside the point. That's all like part of the texture and the tone of the movie. you don't even need to understand what they're saying.
No.
It's sort of just ambient. But I think that people hear it and they're like, oh, this must be important. I got to hear what they're saying and process it.
But then it's juxtaposed with these very well-trained scientists experiencing the theoretical stuff that they understood when they were on Earth, and they go through all the trainings and the simulations and everything, and then Anne Hathaway has so many powerful points where she's just like, this isn't like what I thought. I thought I understood what this is, and it is what it is, but I did not know how it made me feel. Mm-hmm. Just the experience. It's all theoretical until you're a person who's only seemingly been on this journey for a few days, and it's not a few days. Like,
when I was 23, I moved to New York very briefly, and I said, I'm going to live in hostels. I'm going to do whatever it takes to make it as a writer. And I spent one night in a hostel, and when I realized what that meant, I was like, never again. Nope. Yeah, you could make all these
Holiday Inn
grand proclamations about what you're willing to endure until you have to endure it.
Well, and then like the kind of person we are is all theoretical, right? Like we all have this like version of ourselves that's a little bit better than what we are right now, or a lot of bit better, and like has access to things that we don't have access to now, or respect that we don't now, knowledge, and we think that's going to feel a kind of way, and then you become it, and you just there's no way to assume you know who you are.
Yeah, I don't think Matt Damon's character is a bad person, and I don't think the movie condemns him as a bad person.
I don't either.
Anyone else would have done the exact same thing.
Yeah,
that he did.
Right. There's just no way to truly know what you would do in any situation, or what's best for you when you have to make a big call. You just have to hope. But like, Matthew McConaughey could have never accepted that he needed to stay at home and be a farmer. He's telling Murph, don't tell me not to leave, Murph, make me stay. And he's telling her to do that because he knows even he can't make him stay.
Yeah.
Like, and he
Plus, she's saying stay. What's she going to do? She can't stay. This cannot be stopped. It's the law of nature.
He'd be bored to tears. He would not appreciate what he has. And he was always meant to be a person with a ghost of children and a ghost to his children. He'd just be too bored. Her only choice was to become a scientist. Imagine if you were a fucking farmer. I'm not going back to that.
Well, I guess that's all. I can be a farmer. I could be a NASA person. That's about it. I could be a teacher.
There's his dad over here, Michael Caine. I think I'll hang out with him.
Back to the sound mix. The other thing that's interesting about this sound mix is there's way fewer Foley sounds, meaning sound effects, but not like sound effects of things you hear in movies that you don't necessarily pick up. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of silence in this movie. Like when the ship docks, you don't hear any of the noises. But you will hear things like breathing, and you'll hear the astronauts moving through the spaceship. Because
it's all from their that's that thing he does where you feel if I'm hearing the clicking, then he's putting me outside, and I'm more the ship than I am the people. Right. But like when you can hear the fucking shit going, just fuck good.
And with Tars and Case, the robots, in like 2001: A Space Odyssey, HAL 9000's voice is like disembodied, and it's like directly injected into the sound mix of the movie. Whereas in this movie, it's almost like you're hearing the cameras picking up the puppeteers behind the robot speaking. So it's not like he did any, like, he's not boosting the volume. You're hearing them at the volume the characters would hear them. And that's something you never see with robots in movies.
Yeah, that is interesting. Like, they are so important to them getting through all the things that they end up getting through. And it's touching, and the humans get really connected. They get really attached, and the robots have to remind them, bitch, I don't care about you. It's just it's so human to start to think of things that can talk as things that can feel.
Yeah. And they made the very practical choice of these things are, form over function or function over form. They're not supposed to look humanoid. Like robots in fiction look like a human, but there's no reason for that. These are just big blocks.
Big transforming blocks.
You still anthropomorphize them because they're programmed to.
They're Swiss Army knives.
But there's also something that there's some pathos to them because they were designed to be military robots, and instead they're doing this. And so the same thing with the Indian Air Force drone.
They are McConaughey. This is not what I was programmed to do.
Is everything is like, oh, that's so sad. This Air Force drone is just circling around like a
Yeah.
just circling around in the air because that's all it knows how to do, and no one's ever told it, you don't have to do this anymore.
It's living its purpose.
I'm usually a person who, my philosophy is like, if I miss something in a movie, it doesn't matter. Keep going. If I don't hear something somebody says, it doesn't matter. And I'm almost always right.
How would I even go about proving that?
You could. But I think Nolan thinks that too. If you don't hear a character, it's okay. You're still going to follow the movie.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, and I love McConaughey, but man, he is so low and deep in the mix of what he's.
That's what I was trying to say.
Sometimes feel like when you're raising a kid.
And he's like the King of the Hill episode where they go to visit Peggy's family in fucking Montana, and all that Peggy's dad ever says is, I never did meet a sunrise that I could. Like, it's always a fucking old cowboy thing. And that's all he fucking does. It's not till Anne Hathaway like takes his helmet and like puts her helmet against his helmet that like really humanizes him all of a sudden, you know, like, and it's after they've already been through a lot of shit, but like he's doing something really brave, or he just saved her ass or whatever, but like they're so in it together, and she just takes his helmet and it's like, I love you. And it's like, okay, boop, Matthew's a fucking human again.
And that's when Laci said, they better fuck in this movie.
They so better fuck.
They do not fuck. I mean, presumably they will when he finds her, but yeah, that's not in a Nolan movie. But I will tell you, I love Anne Hathaway in this movie. It's my favorite performance from both of them. If you want to see them fuck, watch the movie Serenity.
Ooh. Doing it. How is it? It's a good sex scene, or?
It's good. It's good. I keep thinking we should.
Is she naked? Is there some side tit? What's going on?
You see his butt a lot.
Well, yeah, but he's always butt out. He's always been pro. She just doesn't seem like someone that would have to give up some titty.
Brokeback Mountain, you see her tits.
Big areolas, or
I don't remember.
Okay.
No, I think you can see her naked.
Hey.
Anyway, McConaughey, the McConaissance. Mm-hmm. On the scene where Cooper watches the messages, the very devastating moment in the movie where it's like when you've been ignoring your phone for 2 days and then turn it back on. Oh, God. Oh, no. Oh, no. Or you wake up and you see the group thread has a 128 unread messages. Quote, this is Nolan talking. Quote, I talked to Matthew about it a lot, and the way he wanted to do it was we filmed all of the messages in advance. I don't want to use visual effects to put them in, but what he wanted to do was not to see them until he shot the scene and started his close-up. What he was doing was right on the edge of being too real because he was experiencing it in a real way as a father, and I think one of the takes might have actually been beyond it. It's one of the great fascinations I have with acting. I sit there and I watch them eye to eye, not on the monitor, just glancing at the monitor for framing, because it's my job to try and experience it as an audience member, to try to be open to what they're feeling. And there's often a point where they're so raw and so open that you can actually disconnect from them because it's too overwhelming, it's too much, and you feel you're intruding.
Yes. That's a perfect way to put it. Like, I shouldn't be seeing. You need a minute.
Yeah,
it scares me about actors. It's why I can only imagine the Christian Bale way of acting is to just totally become
the person. McConaughey has several moments in this movie where he just does things where I do think, like, how did you think to do that? Like when he like sort of waves at the baby that he sees on screen just for a second.
He truly just, I mean, you would do it.
Yeah.
It's almost so perfect that it can't be acting, and it turns out it really isn't. I mean, he's in that moment. The reason why he is so specific as to how he wants to take in all this is because he knows he needs to method that part.
Yeah.
It sounds like he can be one type of actor really, really well, turn it on, charm, get it done. But when he needs to like dip into his emotions, he probably needs to really transpose himself into the situation.
Well, okay, so
Brad Pitt needs an apple. He needs
Brad Pitt needs
daughter.
Food.
That's what I mean. It's all he ever fucking does.
Well, when his career had a dip, he said
McConaughey or Brad Pitt?
McConaughey said it was his fault because he didn't say like because acting requires too much of me, but he seems like, well, I was really like happy and enjoying my lifestyle, and so happy to kind of coast and do these like not great movies.
What are the not great movies? Because I love How to Lose. Nope. 10 Things I Hate About You.
That's not. No, it's How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days.
10 Things I Hate About a Wedding.
I Hate About a Wedding.
Fuck.
Yes. Okay, so McConaughey explodes in the 90s with Dazed and Confused, and then gets huge roles in Contact, in Steven Spielberg's Amistad, but then gets stuck in this cycle, and then people start to hate him and think like, oh, he's always played the exact. Oh, hey, yeah, oh my.
What about in The Big Short?
That's way later.
Oh,
so I'm talking about the 2000s. Is like How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days is a hit, and then he makes like a ton of other rom-coms.
Yeah, Failure to Launch was a little bit.
No, but I bet, you know what? I bet if we watched Failure to Launch or any of these now, we'd be like, this is great. What are you talking about?
He's great in everything.
Yeah.
Yes, he is a charm bomb.
But he's also doing like these action star vehicles like Sahara that don't connect. And again, he says, just enjoying myself a little too much, man. But then decides I'm really going to dedicate myself to, I'm going to challenge myself. So Magic Mike in 2012. And the same year he has this movie Mud. And Nolan says that's the movie that made him cast him.
Does he play a gay person in Mud?
No, that's Dallas Buyers Club, which is the next year. That's what he wins the Oscar for. And also True Detective Season 1. Now everybody's like, oh, I love Matthew McConaughey. He's so great. I never realized how wonderful he is.
But I was there for the run. I mean, I love rom-coms, so I never had a dip. Plus, I met him. Anytime I've met a celebrity.
When did you meet Matthew McConaughey?
He in the Abbott Simpson Kutcher building. The top floor was our law firm. The bottom floor was a recording studio. So a lot of voice work happened there. And so celebrities would randomly pop out. And he did. And he signed autographs. I took a picture with his butt. He's turned around doing an autograph. And I'm like...
so not the actual butt.
No. That's why I said he's always butt out. But no, he wrote... he gave me... I have his signature like in a shoebox up there. And it just says... it says the thing he says, and he signs every autograph with this. Keep on living, just keep living. It's something that his dad told him, and he fit it in one of his movies. Mm-hmm. Keep on keeping on? No, it's something more profound than that, but it's very McConaughey.
Yeah, his Oscar acceptance speech. Go watch that if you want to be like jack off motion.
Oh, okay.
But he's so sincere about it too. He's like, I want to thank myself because every day I wake up and I look at myself and I say, you can be better than this, man. You can keep on pushing yourself, man.
Okay, the keep is in there, and I'm telling you, it's his thing. So he probably said it in the speech.
Interstellar, as we keep saying with Nolan, he gets the actors at just the right moment. So this was like, oh yeah, perfect timing.
Not he. It turns out it's his wife who is this uncanny. She is the one who does the casting. She's got her fucking pussy on the pulse.
All right. Well, good job, Emma. And let's not forget the casting directors, name unknown. In this movie, but it's just something we've noted where oh, that's great, that's perfect. Yes, Matthew McConaughey right now as the McConaissance comes to its end. I fully subscribe to Matt Christman's prediction that when America falls to a military dictatorship one day, that Matthew McConaughey will be put in charge as the civilian face of the military dictatorship. He's the president because everybody's like, yeah, I feel good about this. Okay. This is fine.
Wait, who said this?
Matt Christman from Chapo Trap House. It's like it's the inevitable thing that's going to happen to America as a military dictatorship.
Or like,
but they're going to make it look friendly,
right? Well, because Bill Pullman's not like available.
Bill Pullman would be great, but it doesn't look like he looked in the 90s.
But like a okay, I'm just going Independence Day, but like a Randy Quaid or like
yeah, we could get like a Randy Quaid like right now. You know,
it's just keep living.
Just keep living.
Yeah. I was like, wait, that's too Dory. But no, she took it from him. Just keep swimming.
You know what I always hated about Dory?
She forgets things.
It's like she keeps forgetting everything. And I'm like, quit forgetting, you idiot. It's that in Finding Nemo, she goes, just keep swimming, just keep swimming. And in Finding Dory, she goes, just keep swimming, just keep swimming.
That fucking twat.
She forgot the cadence, the delivery of her.
Yeah, and this is Memento Mori. You should remember old new thing. Damn it. She remembers new things only, Matt. No, her shit does not make sense. She doesn't remember her family. But she can remember if you're around her enough, I guess. We have no time to discuss Ellen DeGeneres. So
this movie comes out in 2014. Makes a ton of money, $775 worldwide.
$775, really?
Yes. $1 million. $775 million worldwide. And the reviews, again, were very good, but they were still like, it wasn't quite I almost orgasmed, but didn't.
This is this is why I don't letterbox these movies right after I see them. I know I need a minute. I think even some of them say that. However, this one, I felt good right away. But is it that I'm starting to talk Nolan? You know, like I can't separate the two. Maybe I get it now.
But I think for me, a Letterboxd rating is how do I feel this exact second I'm done with the movie? That's all it means.
But how useful is that?
I don't know.
Why would anyone need that?
It's a diary. It's literally a diary.
Then why is everyone reading it?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, when people will say, how could you give this thing this many stars?
That was the Pat. That's a whole other fucking guy.
So again, it's his highest rated movie on Letterboxd. Can you guess number 2?
It's got to be a Batman, right?
No, it's Oppenheimer.
Oh, right.
Earlier this year, Timothée Chalamet and Christopher Nolan did a little panel event where they did a screening of Interstellar. And Nolan was talking about critics being a little hesitant about the movie. He said, quote, "It was a little bit sniffy. Some of the responses were a bit sniffy from critics and a little from audiences. It made very good money around the world, particularly. There was a sense of people not quite being, it sounds egotistical to say they weren't ready, but they weren't ready for it from me. I had some producer anonymously say of me, he is a cold guy who makes cold films. Then it sort of stuck on me for several projects. The reason I was attracted to my brother's first act of Interstellar is because it's about family and humanity and it's deeply emotional.
Yeah.
That's the film I wanted to make. It's a film that wears its heart on its sleeve." Chalamet told Nolan that it kills me that you didn't feel that love right away, adding, "This movie makes me weep more than anything." End quote. And then at the same event, Chalamet said,
I thought I was
despite learning that his role was smaller, he says it's his favorite movie he's ever been in. He's watched it more than he's watched any other movie. In the Nolan variations, the author Tom Schoen does not seem to like Interstellar that much. And he compiled a list. These were, if you were on the internet in 2014, as I was, not to brag, 30 big plot holes in Interstellar.
Who did
my God. Oh, everybody. If you wrote online, you had to write about this. And he decides, I'm going to present some of these to Nolan. This is my big chance. And the one he says is,
so boring.
Our stance about plot holes is who cares? It's the least interesting way
Unless
to engage
I
with
notice
the
it, then no. If I've noticed it, then it's distracting to the point that we need to address it. Otherwise, I don't care. If it takes away from the movie,
I agree, but everyone thinks that. Everyone thinks that.
No. People like fucking CinemaSins or whatever are specifically looking at a movie to nitpick. That's different. This is
and there's this awful thing where, like, because of CinemaSins, because there's so many YouTube channels that are so successful, it trains audiences to watch movies that way with their detective lenses.
They want to be the first person to like fucking tweet or TikTok. Did anyone else notice this? Watch, and they're filming their TV with their phone. Boring.
And this drives Nolan crazy.
Good.
And he just did an interview like last week where he talked about how he finds it annoying that he's talking about amateur critics. He might be talking about us.
It's a scourge upon our fucking world that now all of a sudden everyone's a food critic, everyone's a movie critic. I mean, we have always said we're going to review the movie because we're going to talk about it, but who fucking cares what we think?
Yeah, you shouldn't care what we think.
If anything, being on TikTok, doing this podcast, what I have learned is it does not, unless there is a collective agreement that something's just really, really good, there's no one individual person that can sign off on anything, and that means I'm going to like it or not like it. It just, even you won't get me there 100% of the time.
Yeah, and I've never been like trying to persuade anybody to like something or not something, or that something's good. Thing. But what I am trying to do is, both of us are trying to make you laugh and like have fun discussing something and trying to think a little bit more deeply about something, and that often involves saying what works and what doesn't work
for us personally.
Yeah,
and at the end of the day, who gives a fuck?
You shouldn't give a fuck.
You should see any movie that you think you should see. There is no movie not worth it. They are all miracles. And even a bad movie, you will walk away being smarter for having seen it.
What he pointed out was amateur critics pointing out story decisions that they feel are contrived, and he's basically said, like, it's not that it's contrived, you've learned now that there are rules for storytelling. Just because you recognize that something is there like to serve the plot that doesn't make it bad. Just because you have a name for it doesn't make it bad. Exactly.
And because it is a plot and we want the plot to work, so we need to serve it. Like, just because all of a sudden you can sort of see how the storytelling might have needed to go, let's just go, I don't know, and skip over that part. Like that, he is very smart at where he puts that moment, because he doesn't do it so often that you can't forgive it when he does something convenient, right? I mean, he's made a mistake or two in every single movie where it's like, oh, come on.
Sean was complaining about the aliens at the end of the movie who are just humans of the future, and that it seems awfully convenient. He calls it a Deus Ex Machina ending, that Cooper goes through the black hole and then ends up in a time library built just for him. That seems mighty convenient. And Nolan says, but it's been set up since the very beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
They say it very early on in the movie. And I think that that's kind of the Nolan thing of it's a magic trick, and which parts are you paying attention to and which parts do you need to take seriously, because this whole thing is he's led to this NASA by his gravity and stuff. And so he says, quote, they go back and forth and Nolan's getting frustrated with Sean. And what he says, quote, is, quote, what I've found is the people who let the film wash over them get the most out of it. They're not approaching it like it's a crossword puzzle or like they're going to get a test afterward. Certainly online, my films are held to a weirdly high standard in terms of plot contrivances. I don't really know why that is. In a way, I suppose it should be a compliment. End quote. And we've suggested why we think that is, why people talk about his movies that way. Because
they are work. I did watch the first few as though I was going to take a test, and then felt annoyed that there wasn't one. So, and that's why I'm saying maybe I've been Nolan-fied. I don't know, but he doesn't make a simple movie. I don't know, like they all got some, except for the Batman ones. It's like there's nothing straightforward about his stuff. So because it keeps you on your toes, you think that he's thought it through every single thing, but you think he's thought through every single thing you're seeing on the screen. And what he's thinking through is like how he wants you to feel, and like what aspects of humanity he wants to like really explore. It's just the vehicle of it is space. And so space fucking nerds are gonna be like, but what about all the space? Like, well, you're missing the point.
Yeah.
It's space doesn't matter if there aren't humans there to fucking observe it. I mean, who gives a shit what a black hole does if it doesn't mean the black hole does something to a human? We are humans. We are all little Nolans who can only experience our experience. So when I hear about Plan B, and Plan B is all these fucking humans in a jar that are going to then go live on we couldn't save the Earth humans, so here's all these. Well, what are you saving? I'm off on a tangent. I don't know if it connects to what I was just saying, but I hate Plan B because those aren't even human. Those aren't even Earthlings. They have no connection to us. They were born in a weird fucking planet and all they know is each other.
That's another thing that this movie is getting at, is why should you care about who you care about? And but you're definitively saying, no, you shouldn't. And I think the movie would not accept that as.
I think he thinks Plan B is stupid. It is completely useless. All it does is make those a few people who are on that planet like fucking gods. And why do they get to do that? That's not fair. They got all these people that are going to teach how to be humans and buckaroo. Or like, why? Why are we so special that we should survive? Who cares? If it's not about the people in the consciousness that exist right now who are going to feel pain because they don't get taken to the next place, who fucking cares?
Well,
this is about abortion. Abort those fucking fetuses.
All the discussion, Nolan complaining about people pointing out plot holes, being plot hole detectives. I think big part of it is he became the most popular filmmaker as YouTube and rose. And in an earlier generation, movie critics got professional training and then worked at newspapers. And when you are first starting to think about movies, the first thing you think about is plot, and then you kind of move beyond that and start thinking about other things like visuals and sound, but it's just kind of the lowest hanging fruit of here's what doesn't work about this movie. It doesn't make any damn sense that he's floating out there in space.
I also think it's a mistake to think of one movie in a vacuum. I think you should be thinking of a collection of work. Where is he in his career, and what is he like contributed, and how has he evolved?
And how is this in dialogue with?
More interesting. Like I'm not judging the Odyssey by itself. I can't. I'm thinking of it as this couldn't have existed without Interstellar and Inception and all the things that came before it. And that man's life, his childhood, and his experiences, they couldn't exist.
Yeah, and he made this movie knowing 2001: A Space Odyssey exists, and Solaris exists, and Chariots of Fire exists, and all these other movies exist, and this movie's in dialogue with all of those other movies. And there is a thing called context that needs to be considered. But it's like how people will be like, everybody's complaining that there's a black guy in Star Wars, but in 1980, no one cared that there was a black guy in Star Wars and a woman in Star Wars. And the thing is, like, if the internet had been around in 1980, they probably would have. You just didn't hear about it.
Okay, maybe, but like identity politics has really surged once people realized that is something that got people enraged enough to
that's the feedback loop of the internet.
I just see what you're saying, but so that was a really interesting part of the book too, and it has nothing to do with the movie. But he said that he's from the 70s. That's when everyone found it very obvious that we were leaving religion behind, and the future was all about science. It wasn't a left or a liberal thing or like a bad thing to think that way. In the 70s, people were all about computers and space and like, this is it. This is where we're going. And he's like, so it's so odd to me that, you know, two decades later, it's like, that's not cool, man. It's all about religion and then he said it, and then he's starting to think they might have more to do with each other than we ever really, I don't know. Like maybe we're praying to us.
John Lithgow does tell them you're praying to the dust in your room. You're just praying to yourself. That is what the internet is we're just recycling. We're just eating our own droppings, regurgitating all the stuff so that we can, like, the dream of every nerd on the internet is to live the life Cooper lives at the end of Interstellar, where they recreated his farmhouse, but they don't want the farmhouse. They want like the house from Gremlins, or they want the Millennium Falcon.
I love how bored he is.
And he's like, this sucks. This is stupid.
What the fuck am I doing?
This is so bogus. Yeah. And if they ever actually got that, they too would not be satisfied.
Because it's not what you think it is. It's a simulation in your brain that you have no idea what the person who lives there is actually going to feel about it. Yep. And it's just a little bit wrong, right? Because his house just has TVs everywhere for some fucking reason.
And there's no dust.
Right. And there's no family. And it's like he wasn't attached to the stuff in this house. He was attached that this house and this stuff had a history. This was my wife's. This one came from, like, I remember buying that at the store and we got in a fight over that. I remember that. Like, this is just replicas of things you don't even understand the history of. Not earthlings on planet fuckface. You don't, you can't replace me. Okay.
All right, that is our video on the history of Interstellar. If you want to watch Laci and I discuss Interstellar itself, review it, analyze it, unpack it for more than 2 hours, we have a video that's just that, and it's right there in the description. Click the link in the description to watch part 2 of our episode, our podcast about Interstellar.